Hi, my name is Josh, and I'm a watchaholic. Welcome to Horology Insanity. What is up, my watch friends? So, check this out. Today, I want to take a look at this amazing microbrand. Now, this is a new one. It's called Biotic, and if I can pronounce this right, I kind of looked it up on the internet to see how to pronounce it, but it's called the Formicidae. And basically, the name for Biotic, I think it has something to do with like bio, meaning life. And then the name Formicidae, which is the name of this model, is a classification of insects and specifically ants. And so that's kind of what they're going for here, is I think a theme of being alive and maybe even outdoors and that kind of thing. And what we see here is their first offering under the name Biotic. And I ain't gonna lie, I think it's pretty fantastic. Now, here's what I think y'all need to know about it, about the watches, about some of the updates that are going to be coming prior to the Kickstarter. The Kickstarter is scheduled in June, by the way. And what I want to talk about in this video is kind of like my not a review. And I'll go over all the specs of the watch and whatnot. And then I'll talk about my experience. And hopefully that'll help y'all decide whether you think you want to pick one of these up or not. So, the first thing that I want to mention is that there are 4 variants. There's a brown one, a gray black one, a red one, and a green one. Now, on the screen in front of you is the red one, and we'll kind of see how that plays and looks a little bit different in different lighting conditions, which I think is fantastic. These dials are amazing. But not only do I have that one, I also have the green one here to show you. And the green one, you can see again, if I do it on different lights, it has a similar sunburst pattern and kind of effect to it. And we'll talk about that more in a little bit, but just kind of to show you side by side. But yeah, so I was thankful enough to where I got to receive not one, but 2 of these prototypes in. And as usual, this is not sponsored content. I'm not getting paid or anything like that. I'm doing this review solely because I want to. And in this case, these are loaners. I'm getting ready to mail them out to the next group. These are kind of, you know, when people put these out or when companies put these out, they kind of do a tour of them. And then as a channel, you know, or specifically in the person doing the channel, I get to pick whether or not I want to do it. Sometimes I get a watch in and don't even make a video on it. And I'm not obligated to. If anybody were to put stipulations on me seeing a watch or doing anything for it, that's an immediate no-go for me. I won't do it. I won't be a shill. I won't be a sellout. But in this case, I like these and I want to do a video on it. So that's kind of where we're at. Now, even though I mentioned this is the first release for the company Biotic, these folks are not new to the watch hobby or to the watch game. As they say, like, this isn't their first rodeo, right? If you're from Texas, you might say that. But this is kind of the people behind Biotic are also the ones that are behind Stitches and Buckles. They're also the same ones who brought us the beautiful Sodalite dial Zelos collaboration known as the Adamus Terra. So when it comes to watches, these folks are legit watch enthusiasts. Their collections are amazing and impressive on their own, and they're really active hobbyists. They're a great part of this hobby. But I say all of that just to kind of share with you that this isn't a fashion brand type of thing going on. These are legit watch enthusiasts that kind of know what people want in a watch, or at least what enthusiasts want in a watch, because sometimes we want things that are very different. Us watch nerds, right? We can be a little bit different. But in this case, yeah, they're bringing us all the things that I think we want to see, and they're doing it at a pretty good value, and they're doing it in a pretty unique way. And when we talk about unique, we'll see it with the case, specifically the dual crowns. When I held them up a second ago, you probably can't miss it. And so, but with that, I like it. I really do. Now, I already mentioned there are 4 variants. I think the red and the green are the colorways to go for. Now, that's if you are cool with or want a little bit of a pop of color, a little bit of a pop of flair. You know, when I show you some pictures of these or when I just hold them up into the light, these things are beautiful and brilliant. So now let's talk about the watch itself. This will be in my kind of not a review segment. We'll talk about the specs and all that kind of stuff. Real quick, they say that it is 39 millimeters in the case. I have my handy dandy calipers here. Let's get these up here, because when I try to grab this, you'll notice that there are slight crown guards here, but when I try to grab it just around the crown, I'm getting 40.5. And so the reason that I really wanted to mention that was because when you look at the way that that juts out just a little bit, I don't even know that you'd call those crown guards. I mean, the way that they did this K shape, which we'll talk about here in a minute, really just kind of, it's smooth on the side, but it does come out to a point where, you know, it's wider than the 39 millimeters might lead you to believe, right? When I was wearing this, y'all know I've got an 8-inch wrist here. We'll do a quick wrist shot. I haven't resized this one. I've been wearing the green one more, but so you can see on my 8-inch wrist, like, it really isn't a small watch. And so it might be that some might look at the specs, see that it's under 40 millimeters and think that it might be too small for you. I never found that to be the case. I like that it has a really thin bezel. The dial and the compass really make it look a lot larger. To me, this wears like a solid 40 millimeter, even 41 millimeter watch. And according to my measurement across the top, well, that's kind of what it is. I get 40.5 when I go just side to side here around the crowns. Now, the next one they say is 47 millimeters lug to lug, and let me see if I can try to grab that and see what I can get. Yeah, 46.6, so we're pretty close on there, and I think that's a really moderate lug length. I know that some people with smaller wrists really don't like it if it gets up over 48, right? Some of my Hamilton stuff are upwards of 50, and those are really long. And so I think at like 46.5, you know, they say 47, it's a really decent lug to lug width, especially with the way that the overall case is shaped and designed and the bracelet that's on it. This bracelet's amazing. We'll talk about that in a second too. But back to the specs, they say 12 thick. So let me get a measurement on there, and I'm seeing bang on 11.9. And that is including the case back, the crystal, everything. Overall thickness, just shy of 12 or right at 12, which I can appreciate. It has a 20 millimeter strap width. And one of the reasons why I think that's really important is because you can swap it out. And what I found really interesting about this green one particularly is this thing is a strap monster. When I first saw it, I didn't think that it would be as compatible with other straps as it really is. And so if we talk about straps with the Kickstarter campaign and things like that, these watches do come on this amazing H-link bracelet. We'll talk about it more in a second, but it does come with this. They are going to have a stretch goal, and I believe the stretch goal is going to then include maybe an FKM rubber strap, but don't quote me on that. Check back on the Kickstarter or on their website and they'll explain more. But I just wanted to see, okay, this bracelet's amazing, and if I'm honest, if I get one, I'll just leave it on the bracelet, because this bracelet is so good. But one of the things that I'm trying to do for the long-term keepers in my collection is have other options, where one will be a bracelet, but then others might be different types of straps, leather straps, NATO straps, and I want them all to be a very good pairing for that. And this, in my opinion, specifically the green one, it fits that bill. It allows for you to try different straps and enjoy them. This, for example, is a Vario. Let's see if I can get that in on the camera. We'll zoom. This is a Vario. This is the elastic NATO strap. I think they've discontinued these since I got this one. I got this one secondhand from a buddy of mine. And so I put it on this, and it's just been super comfortable, and I just enjoy it. I guess I say all that is to say, I am very surprised that this thing is the strap monster that I found it to be. That threw me. It really did. It threw me, but in a good way. Now, when we talk about its weight, this has all of the links on it. And again, if I put it on my wrist, you're going to see there's tons of room in this for links to be removed. I think I took 2 or 3 links out of it before, but you can see this is 8-inch wrist. I can get 2 fingers in there. And so you're definitely going to have plenty of room, even if you've got a larger wrist. Man, that might fit up to like a 9-inch wrist, actually. It's pretty huge. However, the main weight of this is in the bracelet, and it's balanced all the way around, but it is 175 grams as is. So with all the links in it, it's 175 grams. I've watched a couple other videos and reviews. They said that sized in at their whatever wrist they wear, it's around 150. And so you might want to expect that. A lot of people say that 150 is a sweet spot. And so that's good news. And then on this NATO strap, this elastic NATO strap, when I just weighed this, it was 85 grams. Again, on the Vario elastic single pass NATO. Now, normal specs, it has sapphire crystal with AR coating, whatever stainless steel this is, it's normal stuff, but it's not titanium, it is stainless steel. It has a really nice brushing and coating pattern on it. And so, I don't know if this is bead blast, let me get zoomed in on this, but you'll notice that the texture on it is really nice, but it's not shiny. It doesn't glare, it doesn't have a lot of bling bling or anything like that. And I think for a field watch, people are going to appreciate that. I think they're going to like the subtlety that this brings in the case finish. And that way it allows you to appreciate. See, when I just get a shot of the dial, it'll allow you to appreciate the pop of color on the dial a little bit more. And so, yeah. Now, the other thing we'll do, let's zoom back out. Let's get this off of this NATO real quick. It is a pretty tight pin placement there. So depending on the thickness of your NATOs, you might have a hard time fitting it in here, or you may want to get some curved spring bars to kind of aid in that. As you can see here, as I'm stretching this out, it's a snug fit. All right. Oh, man. I feel like I'm going to tear the NATO, but I'm not. Okay. So there's that. Here's one of the coolest things about this, in my opinion, and that is this awesome caseback. So now let me get zoomed in. This caseback is see-through, but then it has like an applique on top of that. And so it's transparent. I don't know if it's sapphire glass or not. The website probably tells us. But in this case, you can't really see the movement. And so I don't know, you could do pros and cons with this one. They could have just done a solid caseback and put a sticker on it, or they could have done this into the caseback itself. Now, I will say the design on this is extremely intricate. So I have a feeling, had they tried to etch this into like a stainless steel caseback, they either couldn't have got the detail that they can in this kind of applique that they have, or it basically would have been muddled, right? I don't know that with the etching techniques, it may have been really sharp to be able to get this kind of detail. I know that sometimes the Zelos, you know, when they etch their casebacks and they look great, but they're a little sharp on the edges. And so I don't know if they would have ran into that kind of a problem here, and if that's what made them decide to go with this option. But I will say the back is absolutely beautiful. And for me, this is kind of like the essence of this watch. The Formicidae being an ant, the trekker, you know, he's got his little compass down there. You know, he's out backpacking, enjoying the world. Again, I was an Eagle Scout. I think that's cool, right? I've done a lot of backpacking trips in my days all over the world, and I just think that that's neat. And I think that this watch could remind you of that kind of a thing if you wanted to take that type of sentimentality and add it to it, or even take this out and go build memories while you're wearing it, which of what I know of the guys behind Biotic, they would love that, right? I think they'd appreciate that. So anyway, that's kind of the watch. That's all the specs. All right, now real quick, I want to talk about this amazing bracelet, because in my opinion, aside from the overall case dimensions and things like that, this case is sweet, and I like the way that they did the dimple cutouts there. Those look really good. But I think the two greatest things about this watch are the dial and then the bracelet. And this bracelet, it's an H-link, and it has everything that I think we as watch nerds and enthusiasts want to see in a bracelet. So first and foremost, it is solid. It is a beautiful H-link pattern. In hand, this feels exactly like my Zen 104 H-link bracelet. So if anybody is familiar with the Zen bracelets, This feels exactly like that. The only thing I would say is the Zen bracelets are known for having awful clasps on them. This does not. This has got a pretty amazing clasp. And so we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, it gives me the Zen 104 H-Link vibe. And that's a very, very good thing. Now, you'll notice it is solid end links. It does have quick adjust pins, and so you can easily swap this on or off. You can see that I've got some like secondary pins. These are my own pins I put in here just because I wanted to be able to experience it on other straps. But these are built in and they do come with it. So you can easily pull this off, put it on, you know, whatever you want to do with that when you swap them out. I don't know about y'all, but I find that every now and then, just to kind of spice things up, if I don't want to buy a new watch, I just change the strap on it, and sometimes it gives me the same effect that getting a new watch does. Kind of like a new to me kind of deal with the straps. But with this, the clasp I think is where it's at. You'll notice it is etched. It says Biotic in here. 2-button pusher. It is a milled clasp, and there is the best part. It does have the built-in micro adjust that we have come to know and love in so many other watches, like Christopher Ward, like Zelos, and like everybody else who's putting them out. Now, if you're familiar with my other videos, specifically where I've talked about on the Starfighter, where this clasp was a little bit too big and beefy for that very, very thin bracelet that came on the Starfighter, and it kind of didn't match up. In this bracelet, we do not have that problem. This bracelet is a little bit thicker. It's got a great design. You can see there's not a ton of taper to it, but the overall comfort on wrist, the articulation of these links, and you'll get full articulation under this. Everything about this, the size of the clasp compared to the links, all of it fits well. It really does. I can't tell you how much of a joy this thing was on wrist, and I think that's why when you look at the design, and the reason that I was so surprised when I first saw it and all I could see was these crowns, and then after spending some time on it, I don't even notice the crowns. It's because I'm noticing the beauty of this dial. I'm noticing this case and the sleek design. I like these little dimples they did here and how smooth that is. And then mainly this bracelet. This bracelet is so good that for me, really, it like sealed the deal in my opinion. It really did. So let's go ahead and talk about now the updates that you will have on the production models that we don't see here in this video or on these prototypes. Let me go through the list real quick. The first thing that they are going to do is they're going to have a slightly shorter minute hand. And so on this model right here, you can see that the minute hand almost stretches out further than the minute track and almost points at the bezel. And so they're going to tighten that up just a little bit. Now, usually, let me get these hands right here and get an indicator over here. There's a date at the 6. It's well integrated. Oh, Myota 9015 movement in it. And so here we go. Let's just do that. One of the things that people say is that like the hour hand should come really close to or touch the long indices like that are usually at the 3, 6, and 9. So you can see here that it's just slightly shy of that, but it's overall a really good fit. So the hour hand, I don't know if they're going to do anything to the hour hand or not. If it were me personally, I'd make it just a hair longer. But again, you can't make it too long because they're also going to then shorten up the minute hand, and you don't want to confuse minute and hour hands. That's the whole reason we have a long one and a short one. I think that the seconds hand going all the way out there is a good thing. And so I don't think they're going to touch that, but it does say that they're going to shorten the minute hand just a little bit. And so there's that. Now, the next thing we're going to see is down here. Speaking of the date wheel at 6 o'clock, right now, this is not a Lume date wheel, but in the production models, it will be loomed. And let's talk about Lume Shot real quick. Let me turn off my lights. And wow, that's a pretty good showing for this, especially because it was just charged with my studio lights. I can hit it with some UV to really accentuate it. But you will see that there are 2 types of lume on this. The main lume, I think, is like a yellowish, what do they call that, C3 type of color. But then you'll see that in some of the accents, it is a blue, like BGW9 type on the compass bezel. But all in all, I like that they did the dual lume. I like that they loomed the second hand. I like that they loomed the indicators on the compass bezel. And so all around, this isn't a Lume monster, mind you, right? It's not going to jump off your wrist the way that like most of your Zelos divers do. But as a field watch, I think this thing is classy, and I think the Lume application on it is really good for what it is. But let's go ahead and talk about a couple of others. I didn't experience this, but I'll mention it to you. Let me get this screwed in here. They are screw down crowns. That's part of what helps give it the 200 meters of water resistance. So you're not going to have any problems if you really do wear this out and about. Don't worry about it getting wet. If you happen to be hiking with it and you want to go jump in a lake, I think you can. I wouldn't worry about it. I would go swimming with this. And so one of the things they mentioned, though, is that they want to tighten up the gap, any gapping between the crowns and the case. Now, in the models that I received, I do not see really any gapping. I mean, if that's what they're talking about, maybe that one's a little bit tighter. So maybe that's what they're going to end up doing with all of them, is just really getting them tighter. But yeah, in the models that I had, we'll hold up the red one real quick. You know, I'm not seeing, there might be a little, yeah, that's screwed in. So maybe this one here, if we looked at it from the back, maybe that's the gapping they're talking about and that they're going to fix. So we'll see how that plays out, but it's a good thing. And to me, what that shows is that the owners are listening and that they're making adjustments and tweaking things as they go, but all for the betterment of the production product that anybody is going to receive. And I like that. I'm happy about that. Now, next, talking about the crowns, aside from the gap, there is going to be new crowns. And this is the one thing that I think I'm most excited to see in person. When I saw this, again, your first thought is, well, do I like the 3 and the 9 o'clock? I don't know. Now that I'm experiencing it, I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I usually don't even notice it. However, I do wish the crowns were a little bit smaller and a little bit tighter into the case. And they're going to do that. So this is where it'd be a good opportunity for me to mention that they have a decent website going on. We'll put a link to it down in the description. And I would specifically recommend going to their journal entry page, because that's where you can see the different updates as things go along. If you look at journal entry number 4, it mentions all of these updates that I'm talking about now, and he gives you some good pictures, which we'll be rolling in on the screen here, but you can see really good pictures of the changes that they want to make. And again, I think that they're all really good and legitimate updates. I really do. I think that the design that they've done was a home run to begin with. And so these improvements, they really only tweak it for the betterment of the experience of whoever ends up getting one of these. Now, other than the new crowns, tighter, I think those are going to be appreciated by almost everyone. I think some of the other ones, you know, the shorter minute hand, I don't know, that'll be appreciated by some people that have some OCD. The tighter case gap, again, I didn't even notice it, but once I started looking closely at it, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe. But I never would have seen it with my own eye. The crowns, everyone will notice, everyone will see, and I think that that's a huge thing for them to do and a good thing. Second to last, they're going to update the markers on the compass bezel, because apparently the markers that are printed on this production model right now aren't actually the right degree indicators. So if you were to set this and you were really trying to get intricate with the degrees of north, south, east, or west, you might be off a little bit. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think anybody's going to notice or care. I don't. I think they're going to notice the crowns. I don't think they're going to notice compass bezel, except for the few that might actually go use it. But you can technically use your watch as a compass without using a compass bezel. Maybe I'll do a whole nother video on that one of these days. Nonetheless, their attention to detail is grand, and I'd give them kudos for that, because they are going to fix those indicators. Last, let's talk about the watch rolls. And so you'll notice here, I've got a little card. You'll notice that these are 2 different colors. These were 2 different prototypes that I had received. Let me get this backed out. And so you'll see this one kind of has a more two-tone with a green and canvas. This is more like Army or OD green, and it's green all the way around. And they do say that they're going to upgrade these, and I think that that's a good thing. I still don't know how good the production ones are going to be. If you're like me, you end up ordering so many watches that things like this just end up in a giant box. up on the bookshelf, because I use a couple of them, but I can't use 400 of these for all of my watches, right? And so with this one though, there's a couple of weird things about it. If you pull this sewn in on the back in here, if you pull this as tight as humanly possible with nothing in it, you're on that first rung. However, they give you 2 more here. You will never get this button right here to go through either one of those. You just won't. It's impossible. So at that rate, are these just decorative? Yeah, maybe. They kind of have to be, because like I said, see here, let's use this side. If I stretch this as tight as I can get it, you might be able to get it into this hole by stretching the leather, but you're not going to use either one of these, right? It's just going to go in there. Now, is the overall kind of application of that good? Yeah. I mean, it's different. It gives me the more outdoorsy feel than like a snap or a buckle would. So yeah, there's that. You open it up. It is a 3-fold system. The way that they have this one marked out is you could put in like a spring bar tool or some extra straps in there, and then the case down here is open and it would have the watch or bracelet or whatever you wanted to store down in there. Now, the new ones I think are going to have a zipper application going on across right here. They're still going to be a similar trifold system. I don't know the material that they're going to use. I think it's still canvas, but we'll put all of that up on the screen. Again, I highly recommend checking out the website. Last but not least, we can mention pricing. MSRP for these is going to be $599, so almost $600, and that's what they have listed on the website. However, the Kickstarter campaign, which is scheduled for June of 2022, so depending on when you're watching this, the Kickstarter price is going to be $399. So you're looking at $400, and I think that's a value. I think for what you're getting, it's a value, mainly because the dial and the design are wonderful. It's a unique piece, so it won't be like anything else in your collection, right? The way that these dual crowns are. It's got the old pie pan kind of dial going on, and I don't have anything like that in my collection. So even to me, a little detail like that was really cool, and it made this stand out a little bit. And y'all know I got a huge collection, right? My collection's insane. But this can be unique even in a huge collection. And that's what I liked about this piece, right? If I were to name this or give it a slogan, I'd call this just unique. And I like it for that. But the value, the sapphire, all the specs that you're getting for this, you do get the 9000 series movement, which is way better. I'm so thankful they didn't use the 8000 series movement, and I'm kind of glad that they didn't just go with the Seiko NH. I've had better luck with my 9000 series Miyotas than I have almost every other one, including my Eddas and Solitas and others. For me right now, if I had to pick one movement that I've had the best luck with, it's been the Miyota 9000 series. And so I'm glad they went with that. I'm really glad about this bracelet because I loved the look of that Zen 104 bracelet, but I hated the way that it functioned, specifically because of that clasp. This cures that. This clasp is amazing. The on-the-fly micro adjust is amazing. And so, yeah, $400, I think this is a steal. Would I pay $600 at MSRP? I don't know. Y'all know I'm frugal. I'm frugal. I don't know. But jump on the Kickstarter. That's what I'm planning to do. So, all right, with that, if there's anything I missed, let me know down in the comment section. I'll talk to you guys down there. All right. Until we talk again, my friends, please remember what really matters, and that's not watches. Keep the insanity sane.